welcome to the 4th episode of the Waffle Hour.
Yes, we knew that from the beginning. It's
Yes.
I, Gigger,
And I am Ben.
and this is the episode where we talk about Spec Ops: The Line, maybe the Venture Brothers, perhaps even the movie Clash of Titans.
Honestly, we always forget where these are going to go, and we always wind up never talking about all the things we want to talk about, so we should probably just stop doing introductions at this point.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's a great idea, because we keep lying.
Yeah, I'd rather not lie to the listeners.
We've done that twice so far, and I've put it in both. I'm going to be putting it in both descriptions.
I think the only thing I want to do is just talk about like the first things that we want to get off our chest right away. So for me,
Okay.
I want to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender because I finally watched that.
I'm with you, and normally I'd be perfectly fine with that. But this is episode 4, and you said you talk about Clash of the Titans in episode 2, and you have not been able to.
Well, okay, so Clash of the Titans, now you've seen.
I have.
So you can actually introduce us, and how about we start with that?
Okay. I watched Clash of the Titans, I think, on Thursday. It was a movie, a bit older. It has Professor McGonagall in it, which I thought was pretty cool.
By Professor McGonagall, you mean Maggie Smith.
Yes, Maggie Smith is in the movie.
Or is she
Is it
knighted? She's knighted, right?
I have no idea.
She is an amazing actor, and she definitely deserves to be knighted if she hasn't been already.
Get on it, Queen. We know you're listening.
That should be like a clip you put at the end of the podcast. Just you shouting, "Get on it, Queen!"
Maybe.
Out of context, that could be actually pretty terrible.
I don't want... You made it go elsewhere.
I'm sorry, that's how my mind works.
Yeah, Clash of Titans it's a very classic kind of movie. It's about the story of
Perseus.
Perseus, I actually forgot.
Greek mythology.
Greek mythology about Perseus, his tale in Greek mythology.
Yeah. Speaking of which, did you get that meme I sent you?
I did. I thought it was funny, but I didn't feel it warranted a response. I will put it on the screen for the viewers' fairness.
I should warn you, that ass is photoshopped. It's not actually that big.
Okay. I mean, I would have believed either.
That's fair. So, this is a movie that I watched as a little kid.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Along with a bunch of other movies by Ray Harryhausen.
I was going to ask, this is probably one of my first questions to you, is if you watched this as a kid and this was a lot of nostalgia. Because for me, I thought it was a good movie and I could see a lot of very good things about it. It just didn't strike me as that, important, I guess.
It's definitely nostalgia. But the things that I think age well... Because you know who Ray Harryhausen is, right?
Yes, he's a old amazing director.
Well, no, he didn't direct at all.
Writer?
Nope.
Then I don't know who Ray Harryhausen is.
He did special effects. He's the guy who did all the claymation monsters. And that's what people remember these movies by, are these, really cool claymation monsters.
And they were really good.
And that's, what you watch any of these movies for. It's just to see the cool monster fights and stuff like that. So Clash of the Titans is awesome because it's got, the most monsters of any of his movies. It's got, that two-headed dog. It's got Medusa. It's got the Kraken. Bubo.
Yeah, Bubo.
Bubo's claymation.
I was gonna say Bubo is the best character in the movie.
Bubo is the best character in the movie. So listeners, Bubo is an owl, but he's a mechanical owl.
Well, he's an actual owl, but they may give him a mechanical version of the owl because they don't want to give up the actual owl.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to anyone who's never seen the movie.
Okay. I'm telling them the reality of the situation. Also, it's a movie about Greek gods. What could make sense?
He's basically R2-D2 the owl.
Yes, he's R2-D2 the owl.
Which is what he actually is, because they wanted to, cash in on that success of Star Wars, and they wanted to have, an R2-D2 kind of character,
that's so
which
silly.
is why it was written into the movie.
That's so
Because that's not in the mythology. Actually, a lot of the mythology is just wrong, but nobody cares.
Yeah, it was just... what I liked about it is I felt like the presentation was really, really excellent.
What I liked about it were the cool fucking claymation monsters.
Yeah, they were definitely awesome, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can see why people will be into that.
And I love certain performances. Obviously, everybody adores Laurence Olivier shouting, "Release the Kraken!"
Yeah.
That's just great. Harry Hamlin, who plays Perseus, I think is just a really cool-seeming guy.
He did, yeah.
He's not like Perseus isn't a particularly interesting character, but he definitely seems like a good person.
How do I put it?
He's got a nice aura.
I really enjoyed, like, the way... I really enjoyed a lot of things about it, but the only problem is that beyond the claymation even, I've seen the story, you know?
Yeah.
For me, it's been like... I played D&D with Alex.
Oh yeah, he's definitely referenced this movie.
Yes.
Because it's an important part of his childhood, too.
So for me, Alex is Brendan's little brother, our DM. Should clarify.
We've only talked about him in every podcast so far.
We have, but we've mostly forgotten to mention who he was, and I don't know if we ever actually stated that he was your little brother.
Oh.
I'm actually pretty sure we did in a different podcast we never put out, but we never actually put it out. Anyway, not the point. I played with him. I played D&D with him. I played the first one with him. I know the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very familiar with the source material, and for me, it just didn't end up being as memorable as like it would be for you because you watched it as a kid.
Again, I don't care about the story at all. I care about those monsters.
Again, okay.
I just want an excuse to have, like, Greek monsters.
Okay, but
and claymation.
Here's the thing. If your entire drive for this is I really like those monsters, is that really a drive, Ben?
It's why I watched all of his movies.
Okay.
Well, all the ones I've seen. So, there's the 3 Sinbad movies I remember as a kid. Sinbad's Seventh Voyage, Sinbad's Golden Voyage, and Sinbad Eye of the Tiger. And Golden Voyage, I think, is my favorite Ray Harryhausen movie, like, period.
Okay.
That's not on Netflix, though, so it's not as easy to watch as Clash of the Titans. Then there's Jason and the Argonauts, which is another Greek mythological story. Clash of the Titans. And I think there was something else. My dad would always talk about Mysterious Island, but I don't remember seeing that one. I also think he did like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or something like that. Old movies. None of them are as exciting as the ones about, Greek and Arabic mythology, which include sword fights against giant monsters.
Yes, okay. So, like, do you have anything else to add besides that you love the giant monsters and you like those characters you named?
Burgess Meredith. He's the guy who he was the playwright.
Okay.
You may know him from the Rocky films.
I've actually never seen the Rocky films, but I knew him. I don't know why.
Yeah, he's Rocky's trainer. He's the guy who says that he's gonna make him eat lightning and crap thunder. He's also the Penguin from like the really old Adam West Batman's show.
That's funny to me.
He's also appeared in some episodes of The Twilight Zone.
So apparently, fun fact about the Adam West thing that you probably don't want to know. Apparently, during that time when he was in the Batman, he went to orgies all the time.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah.
Adam West was a G.
That blew my mind. And they would go all the time, him and Robin.
I can never remember the actor who played Robin.
I don't know.
It's a shame because he's great. He's so good in that show. He's like
especially
one of the best
things
in that show.
Robin, get the shark repellent, the bat shark repellent.
Yeah, and he'd just be like, oh my god. I actually had like a book that had it was a bathroom reader. It has like a bunch of like random articles and stuff that half of them I can't confirm because I don't source anything.
Fair.
But there was one that was just a list of like famous Robin quotes.
I was gonna say Robin responses.
I think that's might have been what it was called, is Robin responses. It was never, I don't think he ever said like golly gee willikers or anything like that corny.
Yeah.
But everything is in that same like attitude.
Holy quiz show, Batman.
Exactly.
I don't know why the quiz show showed up. Yeah. I liked I don't know how to put it. I liked the way that it was presented, and I feel like it had an appropriate amount of spectacle.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense.
This is the like old like late 70s, early 80s idea of like a dumb action movie.
Yes, and I thought it was really well done for what it was doing. Like I liked that it was like Greek mythology, and then like it just worked. Everything was really interesting in that vein.
Yeah.
As opposed to what I haven't seen the new version of Clash of the Titans.
It's not worth it. I haven't seen it either. I know it's not worth it.
I was gonna say I can look at the trailer of that. I saw the trailer when it was coming out and was like, that is going to not be the same as this. It just can't be, and that's probably gonna be the problem.
Well, for one thing, they have Hades as a new character, and he's the villain.
Why?
I don't know why. Like, because they gotta make Hades the villain, even though he, like, never was in Greek mythology.
I was gonna say, I hate how dirty they done Hades. Alright? It pisses me off a lot. He just isn't as bad as people say he is. I mean, granted, he kidnapped a woman, but considering all the other gods and the horrible things they've done, that's like
I mean,
that's low tier.
Zeus was like a 24-hour like
rapist every day.
I mean, that was a major plot point in the Clash of the
Titans
movie.
It was so annoying, and all he wants is a wife. Hades got done dirty. All right, Hades is done dirty.
Yeah. I still like him in Disney's Hercules, though, because he's so goddamn funny.
Well, that's because it's just fucking, what's his name? I forget his name. James Woods.
James Woods, yeah.
He's like, he's who he is now, but at the time he was just, like, insane.
What's funny is that, James Woods loved playing Hades so much, I'm pretty sure he did the voice acting for the Hercules TV series that they had. Like, they had completely different voice actors for all the other characters.
Except for Hades?
Except for Hades. James Woods did, like, this crappy, like, made-for-TV show. Just because he loves playing Hades so much.
That's kind of great. Hades is probably one of the best parts of that movie.
I've never seen the show, but I've heard it's pretty good.
I didn't know there was a show. I'm just assuming it's another one of the Disney shows that come out.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of them. They're always, like, kind of crappy, but...
Or it's one of the sequels to movies that you didn't know existed that were made to,
yeah.
DVD.
They had, like, an Emperor's New Groove one where he had to go back to school. It was called Emperor's New School.
I actually watched that as a kid.
They had Aladdin series, I remember being pretty cool. And a Little Mermaid one, too. But these are older.
Yeah, those
this
are
is like
older.
This is like DuckTales old, like an 80s kind of thing.
DuckTales! Woo! Fucking love DuckTales.
Yeah, everyone does.
I don't know. I can't think of anything better. Maybe Darkwing Duck.
I was re-listening to our old episodes of the podcast, and I was talking about DuckTales and I was talking about Tailspin specifically, but I was listing them all up, and I said Duck Dodgers instead of Darkwing Duck, and I want to set the record straight now.
I thought Duck Dodgers was a different thing entirely.
Duck Dodgers was a Looney Tunes cartoon. Like, Duck Dodgers was like a parody of Buck Rogers, but with Daffy Duck playing the character instead.
Oh!
And then they actually, made that into its TV series when I was a kid, and it was like a Star Trek parody. It was actually really goddamn funny. But it's a classic Looney Tunes
from a
short.
Totally different studio.
Yeah, from a completely different studio. No, I meant Darkwing Duck.
That's funny.
We don't have enough listeners to care, but eventually I would hope that, they would send in corrections so I can eat my words properly and I don't have to catch this stuff on my own.
I'm amazed you actually listen to us. I don't do that.
So I hate my voice so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone does, but I really, really fucking hate my voice. So I've taken to pretending that it's not me I'm hearing.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a different person whose opinions I agree with. And it helps because it doesn't sound like how I think I sound, so it just sounds like a different person anyway.
That's fucking great. Anyway.
Nasally asshole.
Clash of the Titans. To finish that off. I'd recommend it primarily because it's on Netflix, and it's like, if you want to see the dope monsters, they are dope as hell, then yeah, check it out on Netflix. Ben, any other further thoughts?
I would just recommend, Ray Harryhausen movies. Just look up, some of his best films, or any of those ones I talked about before, the Sinbad movies or anything like that. Because all of them are fun for the exact same reason, and all of them are worth watching just because of the different monsters.
And this is very slightly off-key, but I wish Tim Burton would go back to doing claymation again.
He never actually did claymation.
It was Coraline. That would had to be
Tim Burton had nothing to do with Coraline.
Are you serious?
Yes, and I fucking hate everyone who thinks that he does. What
they said don't hate me. I didn't know.
Okay, Tim Burton, he wrote and directed Nightmare Before Christmas, but the animation studio who did it were completely separate from him.
I knew that.
They were not affiliated, they were not owned or whatever. That team went on to form Studio Leica, which made Coraline and all those amazing claymation films. And none of them have had any association with Tim Burton since.
I apologize. My fault.
Good, because fuck Tim Burton. He's not actually that great of a director.
I just liked Coraline.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really fucking good.
But it's not him.
And that's why it's, if it was him, it'd be worse.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I would agree with it would be worse.
It'd probably be worse.
It might be, but I'm not going to say that.
Because the last claymation movie that Tim Burton did was The Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
And that film sucked. It was really boring.
I didn't hate it. I was also a kid when I saw it. It's probably the same time I watched Baby Geniuses.
Oh my god. Well, if you're comparing things to Baby Geniuses, then everything's better.
I loved Baby Geniuses when I was a kid because I was a baby and I wanted to be a genius.
Tim Burton, like, frustrates me because he used to be, at the very least, a competent filmmaker. Like, his old films are, like, enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was watching Sleepy Hollow, which is a dumb as fuck movie, like, really goddamn stupid, but I was watching it and it's entertaining as hell. And I couldn't help but think, holy shit, this is what happens, like, this is what movies used to be like, where there was a clear, like, direction and things made sense and they weren't, like, giant bloated messes. I don't know why I was thinking that specifically. I was watching Sleepy Hollow film. Like, I did not care how stupid it was. It was great.
I don't remember Sleepy Hollow. I don't really care enough to ask you about it.
No, it's not something that's fresh enough in my memory to, like, talk about.
Good.
But I would recommend it. Good Halloween movie.
I will check it out. Now that we've done that, please tell me about Avatar. I'm very interested to hear your perspective.
Okay, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
If you tell me you hate it, I will kick you out of your own home.
I don't hate it.
Good.
In fact, I'd go so far to say that it might be a perfect show.
Ooh.
Like, not perfect in the sense that it was my favorite thing of all time.
No,
But it was perfect in the sense that, like, there was no missteps the entire way. Everything was pretty much as good as it could possibly be.
I agree.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was only 3 seasons long, and those 3 seasons were, like, tightly pre-planned, like, ahead of time. They knew exactly what story they wanted to do. They knew how it was going to end long before it even started. And they have such nice little callbacks and references and setups and foreshadowing and stuff like that. But even that, like, none of that is what makes it good. Like, everything about it made it good.
Yeah, like, just the characterization
Yeah.
is so perfect.
It's all consistently great. The world building. Like, I don't actually give a shit about world building, but they nail it. They nail it so hard. Everything they talk about.
I do not want to derail, but you say that a lot, and you talk about world building a lot.
Well, I like world building. I really do. But I don't think it has any effect on whether a story is good or not.
Okay.
And that's the thing.
We'll leave it right there, then you can go back.
So in Avatar, like, I might have had one question by the end of it where I thought, like, because everything was so consistent, everything was so well explained.
Okay, what about the ending to you? Try to avoid spoilers, but what do you think about the ending?
We're going to have to spoil the Avatar. So,
yeah, but
like,
not
listeners,
now.
I'm just going to say, if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender yet, this is years after the fact. This show came out, like, what?
2005.
2005. Okay, that's 15 years ago.
I'm going to double check that, but I'm almost certain I'm right.
So, watch this show. It's currently on Netflix. If not, you should find another way to watch it, and you should just watch the show, because it's really good.
It is amazing. It's one of the best, like, if you especially if you appreciate animation, it's 2008. No, it's 2005. I was right.
2005.
Last
2005 to
episode was
2008.
2008. Yes.
Yeah, Jesus. That's such a long time ago.
I know. like,
yeah, it's
genuinely amazing.
So what did you want to know about the last the ending? Because we're gonna talk about spoilers for this show.
We're gonna spoil it now. I'm just gonna tell you now. The ending where Aang doesn't kill Ozai.
Okay, so.
And he gets the special ability to stop it. The biggest criticism I've ever seen of the show is that nobody liked that they came out of nowhere. I want your opinion on it.
I think it would have been better if it actually came more out of nowhere, if that makes any sense. Because I don't understand why there was this weird build-up where he was questioning whether he should kill the Fire Lord or not.
Yeah.
This would have been so easy to avoid by just not even bringing it up, and then having that moment, and him just being the Avatar, having Avatar powers he's never understood before, and just, like, in that moment, punishing Ozai more than killing him ever would. That's how I imagined, because I knew this was a thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I remember reading, like, a tidbit, like a spoiler meme or something like that. And instead, they have this weird build-up to it where he's talking to all the former Avatar past life, and he's trying to find advice on everyone on what he should do and whether he should kill Ozai or not. And then eventually he just talks to a random turtle creature, like monster.
Yeah.
Who, you know...
shows about the
this
old
was
ways
actually
of
foreshadowed. I remember the library episode, they had a picture of this thing.
That doesn't mean it's foreshadowed at all.
That
That bothered me a lot.
They knew that they were going to have a big monster like that. I'm sure it was pre-planned, is all I'm saying.
Sure, but, like, just because there's a picture of a thing, because there's lots of pictures of other things in that library that didn't show up, I think it's dumb when people go, "Oh, that's foreshadowing." It's not.
Either way, the ending is not bad. It was not ruined.
I'm not trying to say it was. I don't mind the ending at all. I knew from the beginning there was no way Aang was going to be able to kill Ozai. Metally because it's a Nickelodeon show. And
Yeah, no one fucking dies in this show. Everyone is just thrown off boats.
yeah, you
like
they
randomly
get
pushed around.
giant tidal wave comes after your ship, and you see them jumping off. It's like, oh, okay.
There isn't like a single death like shown or even implied, as far as I can tell.
I think there was one implied, but I don't remember where. No, there was one implied. It was the jet. But
Yeah,
I don't think that was ever confirmed.
Well, he was injured, and they didn't confirm whether he was gonna die or not off camera.
No, they did. Well, they kind of did because they specified in when he was getting injured. Because,
Yeah, Toph says he's lying, and she can
yes. That's one,
tell. But the bad guys killed him.
I knew for a fact that there was no way Aang was going to kill Ozai.
Yeah, because it's like it's a cartoon, and I like that about like children's media. I don't understand like people who want like Superman and Batman to like kill people. I'm like, that doesn't make it better.
I don't know. I think the whole point is the Joker specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's such a huge. When you look at the Joker's entire history, it seems like absurd that you wouldn't just end it at some point. But that's like when you look at his entire history, not like each individual story.
Let's not talk about Batman. I meant more just in the sense of like edgelords who think it's cooler when superheroes.
That
like,
that
murder.
is dumb.
Which, if they did that, then the Punisher wouldn't be interesting.
True. What was that? I wanted to say the ending. I don't mind that he didn't kill him. My problem was I wish they had shown off the ability to energy bend prior.
I don't know what that means.
That's what he did in the end.
Whatever. This kind of thing doesn't need to be explained to me. I would have come 100% on board with the Avatar has special Avatar powers and he took away his bending. Like, that doesn't need to be explained. If there wasn't any build-up towards it, then nobody would even question it.
Sure, but they didn't establish that
It's kind of like when a Jedi does something, like, just kind of out of nowhere, and it's like, it's the Force. Do you need to know more about it? You don't. It's magical and mysterious, and we'll never truly understand it, but that's what makes it amazing.
I don't think that's what...
But people love to fucking ruin shit for themselves.
I just don't think that's what, like, the creators wanted to do.
See, this is a world-building problem.
Sure,
This is where, like, people, like, get so hung up on the world-building that it ruins things. You know what my question for the world-building was? I didn't understand what the deal with Combustion Man was, or how he was shooting lasers out of his forehead. And in my opinion, he was the only thing in the show not explained. Not something that bothered me. I was just a weird misstep when everything else is, like, really tightly explained and stuff.
That's a good point, yeah. But my what I'm trying to say is, I just think that if they had like established the ability to energy bend prior to this point, and then Aang could have trained in that,
I would have been less interested. I don't think it would have made it better.
I'm not saying it would have made it better. I just would have appreciated that more, as opposed to them just like as opposed to the way they actually did it.
I think the way they did it was fine.
I think it's fine. I just think it could be better.
Honestly, this is not what I expected to be talking about with Avatar, because it was such a non-issue for me.
Well, this is the only thing I know of that anyone actually cares or like hates about the show or dislikes.
Okay.
I was curious to see your opinion on it.
Well, here's my criticisms of Avatar. Because, like I said, it's a perfect show, but it's not necessarily like one of my favorites. I mean, it's probably one of my favorites now, but... So, nothing in it felt particularly special. Like, these were all character archetypes I've seen before, plot threads I've seen before, big major moments I've seen before. Because I've watched so many fucking different shows, I've read so many books, I've played so many video games, and yeah, tropes are all reused and recycled all the time.
Sure.
But Avatar, like, especially is like, none of this feels particularly special to me. Again, what it nails is just how well it does everything. Like, I think the perfect example is like Zuko.
Yes.
Who is the bad guy who goes through a redemption arc. And literally from the moment he's on the camera, I'm pretty sure it's obvious he's going to go through a redemption arc. If only because he's got, like, a younger sounding voice. He doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. And then in, like, 5 episodes in, they introduced the whole, got that big burn scar because his dad was a bastard who abused him.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's definitely going to be a good character by the end of the show. I've seen this so many times. Like, in anime, there's a Vegeta. In Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there's a Spike. Just tons and tons of things. But Nothing has done it as well as Zuko. Like, that story arc is so perfect. They take the extra steps to, like, make it.
One thing I appreciated about it is how long it took.
Yeah, there was a point where it's like, it's basically done. He could join the Avatar at any time.
But then he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He basically betrays them almost.
Well, that actually really confused me when I was watching that episode, because when he started attacking, because this was the finale of Book 2.
Yes.
Where he betrays them, and then he winds up, like, getting back in favor with the Fire Nation and going back home for the 3rd season before he has his final redemption or whatever.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I was like, oh, this is like some sort of trick or something. And he was still on their side. And it, like, really confused me that they were even doing this, because they had built up him being, like, a good person for so long during that season. And changing during that season, like, just spending all the time with his uncle and learning all these lessons, and, like, literally getting sick and having dreams of 2 dragons whispering different conflicting things in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Shit like that.
I think they did it because, like, they wanted to portray that he's human.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Zulu was offering him everything.
It felt justified when you finally get into season 3 and he's, like, back to living the life that he wanted to be living that whole time.
Yeah.
In the moment, it just seemed like so
definitely
wrong that it didn't seem like it was supposed to be happening.
It also could have been to establish Katara's character in the 3rd against him.
Yeah, I guess. I don't think they need to do that much more than him just being Fire Nation. Katara's, like, really edgy about everything.
I don't know.
Like, someone brings up, like, the slightest thing, and she just thinks about how her mother was killed by the Fire Nation and how tragic that is.
So was Zuko. Or not Zuko, Sokka. So was Sokka. Sokka was the same feeling.
Sokka's so easygoing about it.
Well, he becomes easygoing about it, and part of that is because of Zuko and how Zuko reacts, and also saving that village a couple
No,
episodes.
He's pretty much always an easygoing character. I'm not saying he didn't go through changes himself, but...
No, he's easygoing, but not against the Fire Nation. He made that very clear in the first arc.
Mm-hmm.
He's also misogynist in the first episode, which is weird.
Yeah, but that's really great, because he goes through a big fucking...
Yeah, he goes through a transition where he learns from, you know...
I gotta point that out, like, feminist analysis of the show... Like, that comes off so great. Like, I love the female characters, and I love a lot of the story arcs involving, like, gender in this world. I think Katara is a fantastic character. Like, everyone jokes about her always bringing up her mom over, like, every little thing, but she is, like, one of the best characters in the show. And when we talk about, like, the characters getting stronger in that anime sense...
Yeah.
Like, I think that's visualized through her better than any other character, where, like, the first episode she's, like, struggling to, like, get that fish, and by the end she's controlling... Like, the rain, she just freezes all the rain around her and shit like that.
I think it's more to do with it being her power.
Mm-hmm.
Just her, like, being, like, the ability to move water is a lot more visually understandable than, like, rock. Even because of the rock.
Yeah, but Toph can metal bend.
Yeah, Toph can metal bend. And then she makes that a thing in Legend of Korra. It becomes completely standard in Legend of Korra, the metal bend.
Oh, man. All the earthbenders are going to become overpowered.
They don't. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. You haven't seen it yet.
OP.
I don't know
if I'm going to watch Legend of Korra. Like, I'm kind of into the world of Avatar. But not enough that I really want to, like, keep delving into it.
I don't want to watch it again because I didn't like the first
Yeah, that's
season.
the thing. A lot of people talk about how bad, especially the first 2 seasons, I think is what a lot of the criticism is levied against, like, season 2 especially.
I've asked people, and people have said that seasons 1, 2 are not very good. Season 3 and 4. 3 is very good, and 4 is weird, but not bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole thing, and it's like that's a whole lot of work to go through to see one good season of a show.
Yeah, I was talking to another friend of mine who really, really likes Avatar, and she was saying that she just didn't like Korra at all. I mean, she owns the whole thing, and she'll watch it again, but she didn't like it.
I know that one annoying thing for me is, like, in Korra, the very first episode is Korra at the age of, like, 3, and she's earthbending, waterbending, and firebending immediately.
That is really weird. I
guess. It was kind of annoying.
This is a world-building thing that I don't know
Yeah, that's another point.
That much.
It's a world-building thing, and it's like, I don't know why you would go from point A to point B, like, it takes a year at minimum. she's doing it at 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why you would do that. But that's one big criticism I've heard about the show. I don't want to talk about the show myself because I haven't seen enough of it. I've only seen the first season.
So which bending nation do you like the best?
Earth.
You like the Earth?
I like it because I don't understand how Earth is not the most powerful, because you're basically always on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like...
I mean, you could say the same thing about water bending or air bending. And since firebenders get it literally just makes it come out of their hands and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but like, if you think about how waterbending and firebending, the waterbenders have the full moon and they're really powerful then.
Yeah.
Firebenders have Sozin's Comet.
The weird astrological elements to it.
And then is it windbending?
Airbending.
Airbending. I don't know why windbending was what came out of my mouth. That sounded so weird.
Wind comes from air.
You're not wrong, but it sounded wrong. Airbending has nothing like that, neither does Earth. And I think it just be that they don't need it because there is constantly air and there's constantly ground.
Yeah. Though I like because a lot of this comes from, I think it was originally like Greek alchemists that came up with that fire, earth, water, air elemental system.
I can't imagine it's not just like...
I mean, it goes so far back, but...
I would think it'd just be everyone has come up with that at some stage.
Kind of. Like in Chinese mythology, they actually have 5 elements, not 4. Because instead of having earth, they have metal and wood.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
Yeah, but it also kind of makes sense, you know?
It works, but
and they've got a different, like, diametric, like, system around, like, how they interact with one another.
Back to the point.
The ancient alchemists thought that, like, all of these 4 elements combine to make, like, literally everything in some sense. What was I going to say? Oh, well, fire and water are, like, you know, opposite things, so it makes sense that both of them are affected by, like, weather-related astrological bodies.
But
and the other 2 aren't.
They also are the opposites, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying if one is, then the one that's on the same axes is as well.
Okay.
Imagine it like an X and Y axes with, like, fire and water on the top and bottom and earth and air on the left and right.
This is not making sense to me. I'm not going to lie to you.
I don't know how to explain it any better to you.
Really?
No, I don't. I thought this was kind of just easy to understand. These 2 things are related more than these other 2 things are to them. These 2 things are related, these other 2 things are related. They're both related in the middle. I don't know what to tell you.
All right.
Just, if you can't visualize it...
I can't. We're moving on. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
You don't want to talk about Avatar anymore? Or?
No, that specifically. Iroh. What do you think of Iroh?
I mean, everyone loves Iroh to the point where, like, it isn't a thing for me.
That's what I was curious.
Like, obviously he's, like, really cool. That isn't, like, in question or anything, but I don't get, like, giddy over it. There was a single moment in the show, though.
Was it the episode?
No, you're talking about Tales of Ba Sing Se?
Yeah.
No, not that.
I'm so sorry.
Again, this is, like, literally the kind of thing I've seen a million times.
Yes.
Like, the wise guy is...
I understand.
The old wise guy who's always happy is crying over his dead son, and he's doing it in secret from everybody else, and it's very tragic. Like, that's... Again, it was done better in Avatar than I've seen it anywhere else, but I've still seen it done.
Okay.
Anyway, the moment I was talking about was when, late in Season 3, Zuko has already joined the Avatar, and they're meeting up with Iroh and the White Lotus Order for, like, the first time, and Zuko is really, really concerned about whether he's going to be forgiven by Iroh, who was visibly upset with him, like, the whole season so far.
Yeah.
And it's that instant hug forgiveness, this unconditional, no... I think I'm just trying to find a way to say unconditional again, which is just redundant, so never mind. But yeah, that was like the tearjerker moment. I'm like, oh god, I'm going to, like, cry right now as I'm watching this. This moment is so good and so powerful.
Alright, well, that's
what I think that is less to do with Iroh as a character. Like, obviously it has to do with Iroh as a character, because of course he would.
Yes.
Like that. But, like, Zuko's entire story, I felt, was, like, building up to that one moment. Like, more than anything else. More than him, like, finally talking to his dad and confronting him about this shit. More than his, like, final battle against Azula or anything like that. It's like, no, it's just, like, this one point of redemption, like, right here.
Yeah.
Was the moment that was the most powerful for me.
I I wasn't happy with how the Azula fight went down with him because I didn't like how he didn't get to be the one to defeat her.
Who cares?
Me. I wanted that to be the resolution to this, but it wasn't. And that kind of bothered me, but like I didn't mind that it was Katara. I would have minded if it was like Toph, because that would make sense to me, but it being Katara, the other I see it as like a woman who's really affected his life and appreciated him, and she sees him for who he actually should be. I don't mind her doing it. I just wish it was him. You know what I mean?
I think because Zuko's arc was never about getting stronger and never about trying to beat his sister.
Sure.
It was about him, becoming a better person and becoming friends with the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is a better resolution to that arc, with him learning, like, being able to defeat Azula with the help of one of his new friends, the person who probably, like, mistrusted him the most, who was the hardest to, like, convert.
I see that point, and that's why I don't mind it being Katara. That's my whole thought process.
But you just want, like, shonen anime, you want him
I would have liked
the
him
rival.
to beat the person that, like, it caused him so much pain, I guess. I like that thing. I like it. And I don't care if other people don't.
Okay.
They can eat my boot.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine either way.
I think it's better that it isn't that, though.
If you say so. I disagree.
It would have been fine if they had it that way. Nobody would have cared.
Do you care now?
No.
Exactly. My point stands. Anything else particular that you can think of that you want to praise or anything?
Yeah, I wish Avatar fandom was as widespread and like impossible to shake off as Harry Potter fandom is.
Why?
Because it's better. It's a weird thing to think about, but I just always see like people like wearing like Harry Potter gear, and like people always like relating stuff to Harry Potter when anything is talked about. Like it's such a meme that there's like a subreddit called "Read Another Book" or something like that. Because people like who are so obsessed with Harry Potter won't shut the fuck up about Harry Potter. That's the thing. I've always liked Harry Potter, but
it's not as good as this.
So a big thing in Harry Potter is like everyone's like, oh, what house are you? And they always have like their house appropriate merchandise. Like people might be wearing like a Ravenclaw sweater or something like that because they're a Ravenclaw, or they might be wearing a Hufflepuff thing.
And what are the houses? What's the differences really?
Well, the thing is that like I never understood like the people who like their favorite house is Slytherin, and there's a lot of those people because I'm like, okay, the whole point of this house is that they're fucking fascists. Okay,
they're douchebags. Yeah,
they're not douchebags. They're racist. They're irredeemable. They're reprehensible.
Would you qualify them as anything else as not a douchebag?
I'm saying they're so beyond douchebaggery. Douchebaggery is forgivable. These guys are fucking Nazis.
I'm just pointing to the simple word. They are douchebags.
Anyway.
Yeah, but you're right. That's the whole thing. And then also,
and I'm like, why the fuck aren't people like wearing Fire Nation stuff or Earth Kingdom stuff? You know?
Why aren't monks using airbending crap?
It would just be more appropriate, I think. It's a better dynamic between the four. Like, the Fire Nation...
There is a dynamic. What the fuck is Hufflepuff?
I don't know.
What's special about Ravenclaw?
Ravenclaw's deal is that they're smart.
Where is that represented in any of the movies?
They say it all the time.
That doesn't mean anything.
It's not shown, it is told.
Exactly.
I don't know. I guess I've been thinking about it a lot because of all the controversy with J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Well, I do. I care about it a lot.
I just don't care about her.
She's being a massive transphobe, and she's using her giant platform to cause damage. Like, she's being a terrible person. And it's something that is, like, legitimately harming people. And that is really upsetting, especially because these Harry Potter fans that are really heartbroken over it, and I said they really love Harry Potter, they were also, their favorite book was always, like, an anti-fascist message, and it seems really weird that this person that wrote all about being accepting and not being racist and stuff at the same time is a huge bigot.
I don't know what you want from me.
I don't know. I just it's something that I want off my chest.
That you're annoyed at J.K. Rowling?
Yeah, I'm not annoyed. I'm really fucking mad about J.K. Rowling.
Okay.
I think she's just an awful person, and I kind of want to like tell like all these Harry Potter fans, just stop buying Harry Potter stuff. Just stop seeing Harry Potter movies.
Are there any left?
Yeah, they're still making those Fantastic Beast movies.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Yeah,
I didn't see
because
any
we
of
don't.
them.
It's easy for me to divorce myself from Harry Potter because even though I grew up liking it, I never like delved into that fandom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, like, hey, Harry Potter fans, maybe if you want to like find a new fandom to get super into, Avatar's a good
Avatar.
choice.
Well, I don't know why people are that into it. Like, I mean, specifically, what draws people to Harry Potter as opposed to Avatar?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm curious about.
I don't know either. I'm not saying that like there's anything wrong with being a Harry Potter fan. Like I'm joking. I keep on like saying all this stuff at the expense of Harry Potter fans and their obsession with Harry Potter. But I sympathize with them so much because, again, like most of them are not okay with J.K. Rowling being terrible.
Yeah, I've
But
seen
at the
very
same
few
time,
people.
they really want to continue being, a fan of their favorite thing, and it's not like when people talk about death of the author or anything like that. It's not this fucking writer that was around 100 years ago or whatever and wrote a classic fantasy series, and then you find out that he might have been like a bit of a homophobe or something like that. It's like, yeah, at this point it doesn't matter. He's been dead for so long. I don't know if I'm referencing anyone specifically or if it's just like an example.
We could literally just go Lovecraft.
Oh, Lovecraft, yeah.
That's the easiest one.
Lovecraft, he was a huge fucking racist. Like,
Yeah.
like even for the time, he was like uncomfortably racist.
I have to look into him. I've heard that he tried to change.
I don't know.
That's the thing.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't, because he's dead.
Yeah,
and he already wrote everything.
And if you consume Lovecraft's products, you are not benefiting him as a person anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas J.K. Rowling is alive, is on Twitter, has a huge platform, has a ton of money.
I don't think I understood Death of the Author then, because my understanding of the term
Death of the Author is a way of looking at things where you separate the author from the work itself.
Yeah, I don't like. They don't actually need to be dead to do that.
No, I'm saying dead. That is a good actual line to like say whether it works.
Okay.
Because the problem with like saying Death of the Author is a lot of people like to just want to separate art from the artist and say that that's an easy thing to do and you should just do it.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, if you know about the artist and you know about what their views are, what they've done, it's going to affect your reading of the text no matter what. No matter how much you might believe in the fact that it doesn't matter, it will.
Well, my understanding of it, at least from the Death of the Author standpoint, was that they never did it for the author's life to affect you. Just that the author's intended message doesn't necessarily reflect with yours.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understood about it. That's why I was confused.
Actually, there is a great video series I could show you. You wouldn't even have to watch all of it, just the episode about Death of the Author. Do you know Lindsay Ellis?
Yes, I think you've told me about her, and I think she's shown up a few times on my YouTube.
Well, she did a series on the Transformers movies where she just looks at Transformers movies from different types of literary critiques, and I'm using the wrong terms here. But, like, I think the second episode, or maybe even the first episode, is, like, Death of the Author, and, like, looking at it just away from Michael Bay and pretending he has nothing to do with it. As opposed to, like, the following episode, or the one before it, which is Auteur Theory, which is intrinsically connected to Michael Bay and who he is as a person.
To clarify, the point of that series is to showcase the methods of criticism,
yeah.
Not actually to criticize the Transformers movies. They're just a basis, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's more about it. Because she also does, like, feminist theory, she does Marxist theory, she does, like, a bunch of other things. And a lot of people, like, take that the wrong way. Like, some people see Marxist theory and it's like, oh, is this a big communist thing? I'm like, no. Marxist theory is a way you can look at works and understand them about what they're saying about, like, class struggle and stuff. You don't have to look at everything through a Marxist lens, and you don't have to look at everything through a feminist lens, but you can, and if you were doing that, this is how you would do it, kind of thing.
I'm just pointing that out for the listeners, because if any of them was like, what? Why would anyone want to criticize the Transformers movies?
Also, if anyone is interested in learning more about the J.K. Rowling situation, I would recommend a YouTuber named Sarah Z. I think it's Sarah Z, but it's, Z and when you're writing it in American. And she not only goes over a history of the things that J.K. Rowling said, but also takes the time to explain why all of it's wrong. with backed up sources and stuff like that. Yes, that is her.
Okay. I will check her out.
And also, she talks about that death of the author thing, where, like, whether that is a reasonable stance to take. And my personal stance is that it might be time to just let go of the Harry Potter series for a while. Which is a hard ask.
My issue is I don't think I wouldn't ask that. I just wouldn't ask that in the beginning of anyone, because I'm not going to tell someone what to like.
I mean, these are the people that are conflicted and are upset that
Sure.
I'm talking to.
My point is, if you liked it and this doesn't bother you...
It does bother them.
No.
The thing.
No,
That's what
I'm talking
to.
specifically about people who it doesn't bother. That's why I specified that. If it doesn't bother you, I'm not going to tell you to not like it because you shouldn't like the person, or I'm not going to try and change your mind. Just like what you like.
See, philosophically, I'm opposed to that way of thinking. I think that when it's someone who's causing as much damage as J.K. Rowling is in this situation, then no, you shouldn't like that thing anymore.
Okay.
Like, it's bad. It causes problems. Don't, like, support her with your money.
You don't have to support with your money. There's other ways to like things.
Well, I'm not talking about just, like, the gut reaction of, like, liking stuff or disliking stuff. I'm specifically talking about being a Harry Potter fan and buying into the merchandise and seeing the movies and buying up every, like, random book or thing that has to do with Harry Potter, because people do that, and I don't think they should at this point.
I don't think you should do that at all.
Well,
I mean, for anything, not just Harry Potter, but that's not besides the point.
I don't think I've ever been as part of that fandom where I had to buy stuff.
Maybe the closest thing I could say is D&D. I don't even know if you would call that a fandom.
You don't buy, like, D&D brand stuff, though, just so you can have the D&D logo on stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I just buy, I bought dice trays.
Yeah, there's a difference between being a fan and being a hobbyist.
Yes, that's a good point. That was the only thing I could think of. There's nothing else I'd do that for. I don't really support buying things that I don't want to have just because I want to support the author. Because, I want to support them, but I want them to make something that I want to consume. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
We've gone very off topic as usual.
Well, that Harry Potter thing is its own discussion.
Yes, exactly. That's the only issue. Waffling. Avatar. Do you have any other thoughts on the show Avatar?
No, it's a great show.
I completely agree with you. It's amazing.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Yeah, mine is Bossing Stories of Bossing Say.
Oh yeah?
I appreciated that moment when he was crying on his son. I liked it a lot. I think it really reflected his character, and the rest of the show besides that part was also really good.
I really like the library.
Abba's Lost Days is also another good one.
Yeah.
Even though it is very sad.
I was not as heartbroken as I was led to believe I was going to be.
100%. I think that's one thing that's really weird about that episode. I like it. It does make you kind of sad, but people are like, the memes are like Abba's Last Days, and it's a dude bawling his eyes out. It's like, that's not how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that.
I didn't even see any. I made sure to avoid memes while I was watching the show, and that's another reason why I binged it so hard over those 2-3 days I watched it.
I'm pretty sure it was 2 days.
Yeah. I saw a couple of episodes of season 1, and then I finished all of season 1 and all of season 2 in 1 day.
I was gonna say, because I remember texting you, and you were like, I want to talk about Avatar. I finished it, and I was 2 days ago when you started it, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a fucking great show.
It is sad that it's so short. It wouldn't be as good if it were longer.
That's what bothers me so much about Korra, is I just want to keep watching it, and it's so
you can have more Avatar stuff.
And I just know from my own experience, it's not what I like about it.
Well, I want to point out they have the perfect little setup where they can just go back in time to any Avatar, because there's been generations and generations of it, and they can just make a series based on it.
I don't.
Well, they can. So
they don't.
Maybe they should.
I want my Kyoshi.
You want a Kyoshu story?
She's the best one.
Oh, here's something I was thinking about. It took me fucking forever, literally until after the show was over, to figure out why the damn show was called Avatar.
Oh, really?
That really bothered me.
Why is it called Avatar?
Well, you know what an avatar is, right?
It's like I know what it is in like the context of video games.
But that's what the context is. An avatar is a representation of something.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you have an avatar of a deity, it's their, like, representation on Earth or something like that.
Right,
or
right.
in that stupid-ass James Cameron movie, the avatars are their bodies that they're inhabiting.
Oh.
So why the fuck is Avatar called Avatar? It's about people who use elemental superpowers.
Oh, is it because of the spirits?
Yeah, and that's like the actual Avatar power. Like the being able to use all 4 bending techniques is just a bonus. Like his actual superpower is the Avatar state, where he becomes like all powerful, which is why it was like kind of crucial in that finale that he was able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think they go further into this in Korra because I haven't been as worried about spoiling stuff for Korra.
Yeah.
'Cause they break that cycle or whatever, right?
In Korra, she at the end of it, I'm just gonna spoil the last episode of the first season because I don't care about it. She learns how to stop people's bending in the last episode of the first season.
Okay. Well, that's not what I'm talking about.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Because, like, I don't know if it's established in Korra or if it's just, like, established in, like, third-party stuff. Because I started reading about Avatar on, like, their official wiki or the fan wiki or whatever it is. And how, like, there was an original Avatar and he fused with some spirit and they become the original Avatar.
That was established in Korra.
And they talked about it in Last Airbender. They specifically say, if this happens while you're in the Avatar state, then the cycle will be broken and there'll never be a new Avatar again or something like that. When they're explaining the Avatar state as a thing.
Yeah. I don't know what that specific thing was.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird diatribe. Probably shouldn't even brought it up. Just really always bothered me that the name of the show was Avatar, and it didn't make any sense to me as to why it was.
I don't know. It was a good show. Check it out.
Yeah, very good show.
It's on Netflix. I don't know why you wouldn't watch it unless you don't have Netflix. But you can get Netflix for free for 30 days.
Yeah, that would be worth it. You can watch Avatar in 30 days. That's like 2 episodes a day.
I can't imagine only watching 2 episodes of something a day.
Still, like, if you needed to,
Yeah.
then you could do it that way.
I live a different life than normal people.
It's only 60 episodes long, which is a tragedy, but also its greatest strength.
Yeah. All right. We're at 50 minutes.
Wow.
I know. We took a long time. Do you want to talk about a board game, or do you want to go into... Do you want to make this multiple episodes?
I'd rather talk about Spec Ops: The Line,
Okay.
if that's what you mean.
Well, I'm asking, like, if you wanted to, like, do multiple episodes today.
We're already kind of ahead, and I keep on forgetting when our episodes are going to air.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, but, like...
Wednesdays, listeners!
We still haven't aired our 3rd episode yet, and we're already recording the 4th, is what I mean.
I mean, it's good to get, backlog.
Well, it's also not that good, because things are, like, out of date and irrelevant, and we're referencing, like, current things. Like, I literally just talked about J.K. Rowling on Twitter.
Sure.
And that's been changing, like, every week.
Sure.
For the worse. She just keeps on doubling down.
My point is, that's just one small thing. Most of the episodes we talk about, we're just talking about we're into it every week, and that is not indicative of everyone else. Like, last week, we talked about whatever Silas was into, which is, like, the 3 games he talked about, and, like, that's not going to change.
Yeah. Well, listeners, I just don't want to make any promises.
Sure. Spec Ops: The Line. This might be long, because I really like Spec Ops: The Line, and I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
So,
for
those of you who do not know what Spec Ops: The Line is, which is completely fair, because it came out in, like, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of old now. It is a military shooter about a man named, I think it's Martin Walker. It's Captain Walker, and then his 2 squadrons. They're going to a Dubai, and Dubai has been overrun by sandstorms that are causing it to become uninhabitable. Their job is to scout the area, but they soon uncover a plot where there are lots of civilians that need to be removed, and there's a whole plot with the CIA and the 33rd Battalion, which is a battalion that was sent there originally.
Okay.
All of them believed to be dead.
So, at this point, I want to interrupt and I'll say this is going to be a spoiler-heavy discussion.
There is no way not to talk about this game without spoiling it.
But unlike Avatar, where I think it's like you should probably just go watch Avatar because it's so good.
Yeah.
This is something where I'm like, you might not be sold on Spec Ops. You might even like pick it up and play it. And might not understand why it's good. Which is why, like, in this case, I think spoilers might make you more interested in experiencing that for yourself.
They did for me.
I've never played I've never played Spec Ops. Sorry, I've never played Spec Ops, but I've had the whole thing spoiled for me.
Yes, I've had it spoiled to me also, as you know, and as the listeners have come to realize. I'm a huge fan of Zero Punctuation.
Yeah,
and he loves this game. Yahtzee loves this game. It's one of his favorites. He talks about it all the time. I haven't played it for a few years, and then I was like, I really want to experience that again. And I went through and I played it and beat it. The thing about Spec Ops Online, and this is going to be spoilers from this point on, is that it's a whole game about you essentially going into an area, into a situation with half the information and picking a side based off of wrong information. And Captain Walker, who you're playing as, it's not like a RPG where it's you, it's Captain Walker. He wants to be a hero. That's his entire arc. He wants so desperately to be the thing that saves everyone. The problem is that he keeps doing the wrong thing at just about every turn. So, for example, the battalion, the Damned 33rd. They're called the Damned 33rd because they left the United States military. They, renounced them in order to live in Dubai and save the citizens. You don't understand that until, the end of the game. Because the U.S. military told them to leave Dubai and just leave the citizens, and they didn't. They came to save and protect them. Then the CIA came in, trying to kill the civilians and kill everyone, so that this was no longer a problem.
Yeah.
You come in without knowing any of that, and all you see is the Damned 33rd killing a bunch of civilians. So you think, oh, they've gone rogue. They're going against the civilians, and you start fighting against them. And then the CIA guys get deeper into it, and they start explaining you the real plan. And then you get into their plan. And eventually you end up just causing an insane amount of chaos and horrible murder. All in the name of being a hero, and it turns out that the entire time you were the biggest villain.
Yeah. The game is it's very, very critical of U.S. military intervention.
Very, because it's so very much a situation of you go in with half the info.
It's also very much a exploration of just soldier psychology and stuff like that.
100%.
And also player psychology too, if I'm not mistaken.
That is what I was going to bring up.
Because it does the fourth wall breaking stuff.
It does a little.
It does loading screen tips and stuff where it kind of talks directly to the player, saying this is your fault and shit like that.
Well, they're quoting players, quoting characters. But the real thing they do is, in almost every video game I've ever played, and most of them, there's an issue with story and gameplay. The story has virtually nothing to do with the gameplay. Don't worry, I have a point. And the gameplay has virtually nothing to do with the story. Last of Us 1. I can't say anything about Last of Us 2, but Last of Us 1 is the same way.
Yeah.
You could basically watch Last of Us 1 and be fine.
Yeah. I have.
Yeah, exactly. In Spec Ops Online, they do that, but it's for a reason. Spec Ops Online, the gameplay is very, very standard and very simple. It's very much you're playing a military shooter. But it carries the weight of the fact that you're killing all these people. They bring up the fact that you've murdered, thousands of people up until this point. Literally thousands.
Yeah, because you're doing it in a video game way where you're fighting off waves of oncoming enemies and shit like that.
Yes, exactly. And it's insane that you would do that because you're a regular person and you're just trying to help, supposedly. But you've murdered every person we've sent.
I remember the first time I learned about Spec Ops, I think it was from a YouTube channel called Extra Credits. And they were pointing out that a lot of the game mechanics, the enemy AI and stuff like that, was a little outdated for the game when it came out. It was already
a
little bit less fun to play than it should have been. But it kind of makes the game better because it draws more attention to that a ludonarrative dissonance that is a central part of the experience.
It just makes it so much more impactful when you get to the end that you've just you kind of come to terms with yourself on your own that you really did just kill thousands of people.
I also remember it praising certain points where the game presents things as if you didn't have an option, but then it turns out you actually do if you experiment. They were specifically referencing a part where might have been U.S. soldiers, not the white phosphorus. You don't have a choice on that, unfortunately.
I was gonna say.
No, they had U.S. soldiers or something like that were being hanged by a crowd, and they make it so you can either put them out of their misery or shoot into the crowd, or either way it's an awful
You mean
experience.
there's two people hanging?
Yeah.
One of them's like a criminal.
It's been a long time since I've seen the video, and I haven't played the game.
I'm sure.
So.
I'm sure. I'm just telling you. I'm just making sure this is exactly what you're talking about. Two people. There's a bunch of snipers, and they tell you that you can either shoot one or the other.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to. You could also like shoot out their things. You could shoot the people.
You could shoot the ropes to release.
Yes, you could shoot the ropes. You could shoot the snipers.
I think the crowd disperses when you shoot either way because.
There's no crowd is the thing.
Oh, then I'm just remembering it completely wrong.
I know there is a crowd at another point. There's like when one of your main characters gets hanged.
But yeah, the game acts like you don't have a choice here, and you can.
Yeah.
You can think about it a different way.
The thing is that you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
More accurately, your choice doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's kind of weird that they would bring that up, is that the choices in this game are all irrelevant. All of them. There is no real choice. Because that specific thing that you brought up...
So this is more of a Bioshock Infinite kind of situation?
No, the thing that you specifically brought up is what you have those two options, and then at the end of the game, it turns out that both of those men are dead.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no real choice. It doesn't matter what you do, because they're both already dead.
It matters what you're doing as a player, and you're responding to the situation in front of you. Whether there's consequences in the story, I don't think matters. It's more of a psychological
in this instance, sure.
understanding.
I guess that's the point you're trying to make. Then I would have to concede.
Compared to like Bioshock Infinite, where they're like, "Oh, should I choose the bird shape or the cage shape?" And it's like, this literally doesn't matter. This doesn't. It doesn't matter now. It's not going to matter later. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. What was I thinking? At that point, it does a really good job of characterization.
Mm-hmm.
I think, because like, it isn't just you. You have your two squad mates, Lugo and Adams. Lugo and Adams, and they're with you the whole time, and they're both sane. But there's a point in the story where Captain Walker like goes insane, and that is what I referenced earlier, the white phosphorus moment. White phosphorus moment in this game is when you're like sat up on an area, you're about to be murdered by thousands of guys. There's like literally a huge battalion right in front of you with jeeps and everything, but you found a mortar with white phosphorus, which is a very deadly like flame thing.
It's a chemical that like you can drop it and it'll just burn right through. It's kind of like alien acid in real life, you know?
Sure. That's a good way
It'll
to put
just melt right through the metal, and it'll just keep on going down. It'll just melt right through the ground, and it'll just keep going down, and it's just super dangerous.
You find a bunch of that, and you use all of it, and you kill, like, hundreds of people right there. At the end of that, though, it turns out that you killed, like, a shitload of civilians, specifically. That is the moment when Walker snaps, and the rest of the story is him going insane.
I think that's also the most criticized part of the game. Like, a lot of players, like...
When I first played it, I stopped there.
Yeah? That's because you couldn't...
I couldn't choose.
Yeah.
I could see that it was very obvious. From my perspective as the player, I was like, if I do this, I'm going to be killing civilians. I don't want to do that. But I didn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. But, like, as I grew up and got more into it, I was like, this isn't really about me. This is about the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
So...
The thing about video games is that it does have that, player agency. It's the fact that it's an interactable medium means that,
as a player, you need to have choice.
Yeah, it's an intrinsic part of the experience.
Yes.
Which is why I tend to criticize video games that just kind of ignore that concept, like The Last of Us to a certain extent.
I was going to bring this point up as well as a totally different thing. I don't like that. I feel like it's like if a movie director didn't have sound in their movie. Mm-hmm. It's an entire part of this medium you're ignoring. And I don't like it, especially in The Last of Us, where it's so disconnected. Like, why even have a campaign? Why not just make a fucking movie?
On the other hand, there is something to be said about, like, The Last of Us to a certain extent, and like a lot of walking simulator games. I don't know if you've played plenty of those.
I've played enough.
But there is a certain this is a story that does not need to be a video game. It's a very, very straightforward thing where there's no choice, no interaction, basically. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that there's that little bit of element of control, even if it just means moving the character and looking at things at your own pace, it's adds investment into the story and engagement into the
Of course.
story being told that otherwise wouldn't exist.
I think there's lots of walking simulators that do that pretty good. Or not maybe lots, but I know a few, like Firewatch.
Mm-hmm.
Firewatch does that pretty well, even though Firewatch has its own problems.
I was thinking more like Dear Esther or What Remains of Edith Finch.
Wasn't
or...
Dear Esther the
Dear,
oh no,
Dear Esther was like the original walking
Dear
simulator.
Esther was the okay. That's the one that Total Biscuit did. I remember that one.
Gone Home.
Gone
I think
Home,
was
yeah.
one. And it's like all of these things. What Remains of Edith Finch has kind of like minigame parts, so it
Like
might
puzzles?
not count. Not really puzzles. Like there's because What Remains of Edith Finch is all about finding out like your family history and how various like members of your family died. And there's the one very famous scene is the guy was working in like a fish processing factory, and you have to do a thing where you're chopping off the heads of fish that are going through an assembly line, but also simultaneously playing in his imagination where he's like a hero going on like a quest and going into the city and everybody is welcoming him. So you're doing like two things at once.
Sure.
It's very moving part of the game. I don't want to spoil it for you because it's a simple enough game that you can play.
Get the point you're trying to make.
I don't know, the engagement. I already
Oh,
the point
the-
I already made. I was just
okay.
pointing out that that was a thing in that game.
Okay, my apologies.
The point is that that limited amount of playability helps engage the players into the stories more.
Sure, but like, I still think that if you're going to make it a video game, I can't fathom why you wouldn't have the gameplay be relevant to the story that you're telling,
Mm-hmm.
be important, integral. Absolutely, this is a way to invest people into the story. But at the end of the day, how much of that investment are you doing because your story just isn't as good as other stories would be?
I don't know. I wouldn't write off The Last of Us for the same reason I wouldn't write off like
I'm
the
not writing it
walking
off.
simulators.
I'm not writing any of them off. I'm just pointing this out.
Yeah,
I don't like that they do it that way.
I don't have a hard line on it.
I
Is
wish
all I'm
that
saying.
more games would have more interesting. Like, if you're going to tell an interesting story and you want to do it through a video game, have the story be very, very interesting and good, and then don't bother with the gameplay, or the opposite. Because there are plenty of instances where like there's the story, but the game is the important thing. Like in the Shadow of Mordor games, I don't give a fuck about the stories in those games. They're not that good.
No.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the opposite. I just would prefer that if your goal is to make a really good story game in video games, use the fact that you're having an interactive medium more. Don't have it just be a situation of moving the character.
Which is why the ultimate story game is and always will be Phoenix Wright.
Yes. I mean, that's basically just a graphic novel.
Or Ghost Trick.
Not graphic novel. Visual novel.
Yeah, I guess. I always thought it was more of an adventure game.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because
Where you have to gather stuff up and use them in the right situations. In this case, collecting evidence and using them during trials to advance the story.
I mean, you could probably say both. I think there are visual novels that do that.
Yeah, I don't really play visual novels, so I don't know.
I don't play them as much as I play other stuff. I played a couple.
Anything good?
The one that 4chan Man made was actually not bad.
Hmm.
Disabled Girls.
I don't know.
You use the Japanese name, but that's what it's called.
I mean, the most famous one at this point is probably Doki Doki Literature Club, and that's a free game, and I know all about it, but I've never
Was that
played
made
it.
by 4chan?
No, I'm talking about visual
Oh,
novels.
okay. Yes, that is the most famous one. I have not played it. I think it's only famous because of the shock value.
Yeah,
I don't really care about it. Firewatch.
I appreciate it. What about Firewatch?
I really like Firewatch. I want to talk about it a little bit because I really hated the ending of it. So Firewatch is this really interesting game. There's a part in Firewatch.
I did play Firewatch, by the way.
I'm going to clarify, actually. I haven't said what Firewatch was. Firewatch is a walking simulator.
/ adventure game.
It's a walking simulator. There is very little adventure game in that.
It is, but I remember hearing about it first in the context of adventure games, and now that, in hindsight, I think you're right.
Okay. It's a game where you have decided to... You basically leaving your wife, right?
Yeah, well, it starts off with a kind of like a what would you do in this scenario, like either or, like kind of quiz thing.
Yeah.
Where it also reveals the backstory of the main character, how he met his wife, how they fell in love, how she wound up what did she have? Like dementia,
Something like that. She has an
Alzheimer's,
issue
something really tragic.
where she can't really understand and remember you.
And he makes some mistake that ends up like hurting her or almost really hurting her, and now they're estranged.
My understanding was that he basically just left.
Yeah, he tries to get away from society. He finds like a job in a like a ranger tower watching for fires in the middle of like a national park or something like that.
That is what happens. And then that's the premise. And then you are playing as a guy and you wander around the forest and there's a walkie-talkie you have with your boss, who's this lady that you talk to the whole time and have conversations with.
That walkie-talkie is the best fucking idea of all time.
Absolutely.
Like, adventure games are always about, like, going around and, like, looking at every little thing and hearing the guy say something about that thing in order to tell you as a player, like, if it's worth looking at or interacting with, or just hiding jokes in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, here, he's actually talking to someone.
Yes, it's great. And they have a response for everything you say.
That's great.
So my problem with the game, when I was playing it, there was a point in time where I thought that the story was going to be the main character turns out to be the killer.
Okay.
Like, I want you to think... You've played it. I want you to think how insane that is.
No, I know what you mean. I do know, because it sets up kind of this mystery where there's, like, a mysterious figure, and he, like, breaks into his ranger tower, and he's, like, leaving stuff around, and you see, like, vague figures in the shadows and stuff like that.
There's those girls that go missing.
There's a weird, like, sinister element, a weird kind of, like, horror element, like a mystery that's unfurling.
It really feels like... There's a certain point where it feels like it's going to go anywhere. Where, like, the person on the other end of the walkie-talkie is not going to be real, and you're going to be, like, insane this whole time or something. That's where it feels like it's going to go. And then...
Then it comes to the very, very grounded, very, very realistic ending.
And I was bothered by it a lot.
I guess. Like, the game does a very good job of building up your imagination, only to just kind of, like, shatter it with reality, which might be the point. But at the same time... I don't play video games to not be in crazy imaginative scenarios.
I genuinely think that they did it that way because they did not have the money to do it the way we wanted.
Maybe. So, since we're spoiling everything else, listeners, what happens at the ending is that you find out that the mysterious figure, there actually is someone who's been kind of like hiding in the shadows this whole time. He's
the father of a kid who died in the park a couple of years prior.
Yeah, it's a brief story that they kind of like touched on, and there's a few things that you can look into a little bit more to learn about the scenario, but there was a guy who had a kid, and the kid died kind of tragically.
And I think he blamed himself?
Yeah, it turns out that this guy has been like hiding there and just living as a hobo in the park this whole time and keeping it a secret. But there winds up being a big fire, and you have to leave, and the guy abandons his little hobo cave, and that's it.
Yep.
Like, there isn't any, like, big revelation to finding out that he's been living there. It's just kind of a sad story that this guy...
It's literally like a really horribly recorded message.
I don't know if there was, like, an ultimate message to it.
No, I mean, he has it's a message that he recorded for you on a shitty recorder.
Oh, yeah. And that's how you find out.
You could barely understand him.
It's like, yeah, there was a guy in the woods. He was just a homeless man who
is
really sad after his kid died.
It was overwhelmingly anticlimactic, and I didn't enjoy that. But I think the game's good overall, despite that.
Yes.
I definitely think that if you listen to this and you haven't played Firewatch, we just ruined it for you. But, like, it was like $15. It was like, what, a 4-hour game? 5 hours?
I'd still recommend it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, it's hard to say no. And, like, the dialogue between the two main characters is pretty good.
It's very well written.
Yeah, it's amazingly well written. It's very interesting.
Like, there's definitely, like, an interplay where, like, the main character is falling in love with the other ranger that you're talking through over the radio the entire time.
I think that depends largely on choices, because that didn't happen for me.
For me, it felt like it was inevitable. They just would joke around and flirt so much.
I mean, I just didn't have that. I don't know. Maybe I didn't see it that way. I didn't think that he was trying to do that.
I mean, it felt a little shitty what was the situation with his wife, and his wife still being alive, even if she is... Maybe that's such a mental state that that
could literally just be me then. It could literally be me interpreting it as he's not going to do that because he wouldn't do that.
Doesn't matter. The story doesn't go there anyway.
No, it does not. The story doesn't go anywhere. It's stupid.
Yeah, you just find out the truth, and then the fire
really boring,
forces you to leave.
And then you have to go.
You gotta go back to reality and go back to your horribly sick wife and go back to being depressed.
Did you take the turtle?
The what?
The turtle? You find a turtle at one point.
I do not remember.
Okay. I don't remember if you take the turtle or not.
I don't remember the turtle. Maybe I never saw the turtle.
The turtle was the most important thing to me.
Oh yeah.
I'd really like to having a turtle.
The important thing to me was when the teenage girls were swimming
Mhm.
and they left their clothes all over the place, and you get really mad at them and throw their boombox into the lake. Did you throw their boombox into the lake?
I don't remember that.
I threw the boombox into the lake because they were being assholes. I was just
They
trying
were.
to fucking tell them to follow the park rules, and they were littering and all that kind of shit.
And they're like, fuck you.
And they're like, "You're a creepy asshole." I'm like, "Yeah, I am, but fuck you anyway."
Spec Ops: The Line. You should play that.
Firewatch. You should probably play that too.
Is there anything else I want to say about Spec Ops: The Line? It's really excellently written. Well, I shouldn't
Yeah.
say written. I don't know if that's how I would put it.
So, did you try out the multiplayer?
I didn't.
Did you know that was a thing?
I knew it was a thing. I knew there was a multiplayer and a co-op, and I was like, I don't know why these are here.
Okay, I do want to say something. Spec Ops excluded. I'm really, really glad we were past that era of video games where everything was a fucking multiplayer military shooter.
Me too.
Like, that was the worst period in gaming history. Like, just that Call of Duty fever was so fucking high, and every fucking crappy studio was copying them.
It genuinely just baffles me beyond reasonable belief that companies in all facts of life still do not comprehend the notion that if it already exists, nobody needs another one.
Yeah, they're like, no, this was successful. Let's do that too, and maybe we'll be successful
Oh,
too.
look, Netflix was really successful. We can make our own Netflix and people will buy from us. No, we already have Netflix, you bitch.
It's like, well, we're going to take all of our stuff off of Netflix, so now if you want to watch any of it, you'll have to have our service. It's like, no, I'm going to go back to fucking pirating, okay?
Exactly.
The nice thing about Netflix is that it was cheap and it had no commercials and it had fucking everything on it. Fuck you, Hulu, and your commercials. Fuck you, Disney Plus, and your fucking no options.
Dude, it bothers me so much.
Yeah.
It fucking annoys me how many there are.
Yeah.
There's so many I don't even know about. And that's just streaming services. We can even go back to games. We can easily go back to games. Why are there so many fucking battle royales? Make a battle royale.
The funny thing is there actually isn't. But every time you hear about a battle royale, you just already know that it's going to be exactly like every other one.
This is exactly my problem. You don't need to make the same battle royale. There's ways to make this genre interesting, and no one has done it.
I don't know how to make it interesting.
The one that I thought of, I genuinely thought, before Fallout 76 came out,
Okay.
when people thought Fallout 76 was just going to be the battle royale, which it ended up being, by the way.
I didn't know that.
They added one.
Neat.
No. I thought that could be really cool, because what they could do is have it be you're in the vault.
Oh, so it would be inside instead of a big area?
Even beyond that, and your goal isn't necessarily to kill everyone, it's just to get out.
Before a nuclear blast.
No, just to get out before some thing is coming for you, to get out into the wasteland. That was my whole thought process. I thought that'd be dope as shit.
I was gonna say, this could be a two-part thing, where you're trying to get into a vault before a nuclear blast, and then you're trying to get out of the vault before a mutant kills you.
That could even work also.
And meanwhile, there's 100 other players that you're competing with.
That could equally work, and that'd be cool. But they just made it a bunk-ass, regular fucking shit, garbage battle royale.
You know what would make that even better? Like, let's just say we're doing the escaping from the nuclear blast thing.
Yeah.
Like, battle royales, it's always about, going to the the last man standing. It doesn't need to be like that.
No.
You could have, a crew. Maybe you know that the vault isn't going to have enough supplies for, all 100 people. So you can just team up with, randos and try to work together in order to, take over the vault so nobody else can get in so that you could survive.
Yes.
That'd be
and there
great.
could be multiple vaults, because there are multiple vaults in Fallout.
And then you betray them in Phase 2 to the mutant who's trying to kill you and you can escape from the vault.
Maybe one of you can become the mutant, and it can go from being, one big game to, 6 or 7 different other games where it's a totally different situation.
I also, after the military shooter thing, there was, kind of that MMO thing. The only reason the MMO thing took so long, because WoW is old, but everyone
Yes.
wanted to copy WoW, but it takes fucking forever to make an MMO, so they started, and it took them forever to finish, and by then nobody cared about MMOs.
I found that funny.
I'm thinking mostly of Star Wars: The Old Republic.
I knew you were going to bring that one up.
That game upsets the hell out of me.
I just don't care about any of them. I don't know.
I wanted to care about Star Wars: The Old Republic, but I just fundamentally dislike MMOs. Nothing against fans of the genre. It's just that's one of those things where it's not my thing.
It's just so much grinding. I don't even hate them. I grew to not like them because I play with Aiden, which is my friend who I've known for years, who gave me my nickname.
He's the one who came up with Giger?
He is. We're not talking about it now.
Okay.
I'm going to let it build. He introduced me to them. Him and my other friend Nathan. Those two introduced me to them.
They played WoW though, right?
Yes, they introduced me to WoW. And what would happen is we would play WoW. They would get to like level like 80 in like a day, and I'd be level 65, and they'd be like, "Giger, come play with us. You have to do this, this, and this to get to this level." And then I would do that, and then I would be away from all the stuff I wanted to do.
Yeah, now you're too high a level.
Because I wanted to like play the game. I wanted to play like the missions in the story.
See, the last time I tried to play WoW, I just wanted to play it like I play any video game where I just do everything. But I'm like, you can't do every quest because one, most of them are terrible, and two, you'll just be so over leveled.
Even if you, that's not even it. There are some quests you just can't do.
What do you mean?
There are quests that they are no longer in the game.
Well, yeah.
A lot.
This was not like WoW Classic or WoW Vanilla or whatever it's called. This was like whatever WoW was when I think Warlords of Draenor came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just playing like the free version where you don't need to buy Warlords of Draenor to play it.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I can see the skeleton of a really good game here, but I don't like it.
No, what I found odd was that like that's when you started playing, because I played like during Pandaria, which is like years before then. Warlords of Draenor was one of the most recent ones.
I mean, there's been like 3 expansions since then.
Yeah, but
it felt like, when I was a kid, man, it felt like WoW expansions were like really far apart and they were really big deals, and now I feel like there's a new WoW expansion like every 2 years.
There probably is.
Yeah, there probably is. But like, Burning Crusade was a big deal, Wrath of the Lich King was like a big deal, and everything else after that has just kind of like flown right by me. And I've never even been a WoW fan.
I don't know. Nathan was a huge WoW fan to the point where he genuinely believed he has an addiction. He doesn't play it anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I really like Warcraft 3 a lot.
It
doesn't add much to the discussion, but I just wanted to point it out. I really love that game.
I'm trying to think of like, I don't know if I just don't know if I like RTSs anymore.
No?
I don't know what happened.
I like RTS campaigns.
Really?
Yeah, I find them more fun than playing multiplayer because I'm not actually good at it, but usually they're built to be beaten even if you're not fantastic at RTSs. They're more about just like interesting scenarios.
I used to be really into them when I was a kid or when I was younger, I guess, but I don't play any and I don't want to.
It's been a while since there's been a good new RTS.
Well, even like old ones, like I still like I played Age of Empires.
Yeah, I played that.
Age of Empires 2. I played that with like, friends at a LAN party, and that's one of the things we would do, and like it just wasn't interesting to me. I just didn't find it fun. I guess I'm just not good at it.
I just realized, what were we talking about?
We were initially talking about Firewall. We were talking about Speculative Line.
Oh, and I got into the thing about military shooters.
Yes, that's what we wanted to talk about. You should play Spec Ops: The Line.
I love how every time we waffle so far away from whatever we were talking about, we just bring it back by saying, "Yeah, you should watch that thing we were just talking about 20 minutes ago.
It's cause
you should play that game."
It's just this attempt to like bring it back, and also just to clear it up if that's what we want to do. Which I do.
I mean, we've said it like 10 times. I think we're clear on it.
Yes.
They should play it. It's a good game.
Should also play Firewatch. They should definitely not play WoW, I guess.
They can play WoW if they want. I don't give a shit.
If they like WoW, yeah.
Yeah, play WoW. You like WoW? You don't know if you haven't played it. Try it out. You don't need to, pay for the subscription for like an entire year. Just do like the $15 and play it for a month, and you'll know if you like it or not by then.
You want to talk about any board games?
What do you have in mind?
Talk about Hive.
Talk about Hive. Okay, yeah, Hive is a small enough game to talk about.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Well, Hive is your game, so you...
Hive is I describe it generally as an abstract version of chess. The idea is that you have a bunch of pieces. Each piece has a specific method of movement. But instead of there being a board, each piece is a hex.
Like a hexagonal tile.
Yes, hexagonal tile, and they interact with each other through the hexes.
Yeah, you just place them next to one another in a hex formation.
And the goal is there's one piece that's the queen, and you have to either with all your own pieces or with some of the...
The queen needs to be surrounded by tiles. You can do that entirely with your own pieces, or you can do it with by using your enemy pieces against them by having them in the wrong spot. As long as their queen hex is surrounded on all 6 sides by other hex tiles, then you've won.
Yes, perfect way to put it. I don't know why I was not able to do that. It's unbelievably simple. I think I guess my biggest issue is I like it more than I like chess, but at the end of the day, it really isn't that much different than chess. other than you don't take pieces. Like,
Yeah.
you can't like take them off the board. They just never leave. If they're there, they're there. And like, I just find it more entertaining than chess in every capacity. I kind of hate chess though.
I don't hate chess, but chess kind of annoys me.
I just hate it.
It's like an old classic game, and there's a lot to chess, and there's a reason why people can spend like their entire lives learning about chess
Sure.
and stuff like that.
There's like,
But at the same time, there's like very obvious weaknesses to the game, like how, like, I don't know, like 90% or something, a retardedly high number of like high level chess games are probably going to end in ties. It's very, very hard to get a proper checkmate because of the rules for checkmating and how it works.
it's bizarre because it's just like it's just like a situation where optimization. You want to be the most optimal player against the most optimal opponent in the most optimal way, and it's just like
Chess isn't always about optimization, though. Chess is often about, being a little bit sneaky, being a little bit surprising, like coming at them from a direction they wouldn't expect.
which
'Cause-
yeah, that'd be the optimal way to do it though.
No, because sometimes it means taking the sacrifices, like, early on to
Yeah,
come back.
that
I
would,
don't think that's what most people think when they mean optimal.
Sure.
Optimal usually means, like, doing everything perfect at every step of the way.
Well, I would argue that like the goal is to win, and the most optimal way to win is to do that.
In that case, any way you end up winning is the most optimal way.
No, because like if you win by complete happenstance, which is totally possible. That's how every game I've ever won of chess has been.
Yeah, we're low-level chess players.
I don't like chess.
Yeah, I got that.
I know, but I want to reiterate it a lot. Hive is better than chess. People should play Hive.
I don't imagine Hive having the same level of depth as chess does, where you could spend your entire life
Well, that's
thinking about Hive theory and learning new ways of it and new strategies.
maybe, but it's newer. Came out like 20 years ago, max. As with the chess, which came out in like 1800 or whatever.
I don't know.
I think it's entirely possible that there could be that level of depth if you decided to put any effort to it, but I don't think people care enough about the game to do it.
Maybe.
We'd have to look into the Hive competitive scene and see what they think.
Is that a thing?
I can't imagine it's not. Like how
You'd be surprised and disappointed how often it's just not a thing.
maybe. Well, there's an entire competitive element to Catherine.
What's Catherine?
Catherine is a dating sim game.
Oh, that. It's not a dating sim game. It's a puzzle game.
Well, yeah, but the point is the central area is the dating. That's the central storyline.
It's a two-part thing.
Point being,
One where you're learning the story, and the second part where you're having the dream sequence puzzle. We're not talking about Catherine. Why are we talking about Catherine?
because there's a competitive scene to that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
There is a huge one. It's especially in Australia. I don't know why, but there's a competitive scene to Catherine. So if there's a competitive scene to the game Catherine, I can't fathom that there wouldn't be a competitive scene to Hive.
All I'm saying is that sometimes you use that logic and you apply it to stuff that should be obvious, and then you're disappointed with the results.
I can't be disappointed because I don't know if there should be.
A
I'm not
competitive
that
scene to
concerned.
Hive?
Yeah, I'm not that concerned about it.
I think there should be. I'd watch competitive Hive. I wanted to learn how to get better at the game, because I feel like I'm shit at it.
I think we could just play a lot and then we'd get to that point.
Maybe.
But I didn't bring it with me. I forgot.
That's fine.
Um,
You
I-
never actually told them about the pieces in Hive.
I was about to tell them that I wasn't going to do that because the problem is that I can't show them. And, like, every time I've explained this to someone in real life, they have not understood. Every single time, there's always something like, I don't get that.
Well, you don't need to tell them exactly what every piece does. Just the idea that, so it's called Hive because it's talked about like an insect hive, and every single piece is a different type of bug, and each way of bug has a different way of moving. In the same way that all the pieces in chess have different ways of moving.
Boom, done.
One of the differences in Hive, though, is that they actually have expansions where they add in new types of bug styles.
Yeah, but there's only like 3.
3 so far. They could keep adding if they wanted to.
I don't think they're going to. I think that like the last one came out like 5 years ago.
Maybe.
Also, the expansions were really annoying because I bought a special version that came with like one of them, and I had to buy 2. I think or 2. I think it came with 2, and I had to buy 1. And it was $10 for 2 pieces.
That's fucking stupid.
It was dumb, but I was like, I really want to have the whole thing.
Yeah, because, well, would you say the game feels more complete with all of it? Because I've heard the opposite of that, too.
It's a totally different experience. That's the thing that's kind of weird about it. So I played this with a lot of people, And I've told them this, and sometimes we remove the expansions altogether to play.
Yeah, just make it a little easier because those pieces are a little more complicated.
And when doing that,
Kind of if you removed knights from chess, because
Yeah.
those are the hardest ones to understand the movement of for
when
new
you
people.
when you do that, what ends up happening is that the game is a totally different experience without them and with them. Because with them, you have a lot more control over your own pieces and a lot more control over how your queen moves. Without them, you feel like your queen is basically stuck, and you can't do much about it.
I did feel like that. I don't think I've played with all the pieces yet. I've only played like the basic game was part of
Maybe.
it.
I don't know. We could play with Wall at some point. I have the Hive app. Don't get the app on the phone unless you just want to try it because they charge you for the expansions and they're not associated with the actual creators of the game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it really bothered me a lot when I found that out, and I was like, I'm not buying these. I'm not going to spend money on this shit.
Couldn't the creators sue them for that?
They probably could, but I don't think they care.
Mm.
I think they've moved on farther at this point, and they're like,
Yeah, you said it's been a while.
yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a great game. Jake, we've talked about Jake a couple times. He's a friend.
Which Jake are we talking about?
His name is Jake M. Not,
Okay, Jake M.
Yeah. We've talked about him a couple times. He played it, and then he bought his own copy
Yeah,
because he liked it so much.
My brother Sam liked it a lot. He is shockingly good at it, or at least better than me.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a great game. I recommend checking it out. It's not that expensive. I think it's like $20 on Amazon.
If you're like a huge chess fan, this is not going to replace chess for you.
Oh no. I concede that my hatred of chess is my own thing.
But I think if you are someone who likes the idea of chess, of that like just strategically outmaneuvering your opponent with, mastering the pieces you have and outthinking them and planning ahead, Hive does that, and it does it really well.
Yeah, I think you'd be into it.
Yeah, you'd definitely be into it if you're into that kind of stuff.
It's a great game.
I'm actually very bad at thinking ahead and like being
Prepared.
outmaneuvering opponents in chess and stuff.
Being prepared for your turn on your own turn. You're very bad at that.
Yeah. Oh, I overthink stuff like crazy.
It's actually good. I don't want to dissuade you, but it's very annoying to play against because we're going through the whole game and we get to Ben. Ben's like, "Oh crap, what do I do?" And we're like, "Ben."
That's the thing. I do spend the entire time thinking about what I'm going to do.
But then it shows up.
I never have enough time. I never have enough time to think.
Okay. Hey man, I'm not trying to judge you. I'm sure I've done it. I'm sure we've all done it. All I know is how I play. And I don't play like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid Euro games.
Yeah, that's also probably part of it. We do that mostly in like Scythe.
It's not a problem in Inish because Inish is so simple,
So elegant.
so elegant, and it's like, oh, I only have 4 options, and I can guess which ones. I already know which order I want to do because I've already pre-planned the round, so the turns are quick.
Yeah.
Or
Ethnos. Ethnos is great.
Ethnos is like the fastest game of all time, but we're not talking about Ethnos.
No.
Just wanted to call back to Inish because we already talked about Inish.
Get Hive. Don't. He bought it at Barnes and Noble and he spent like $40. Don't do that.
Wow, how much should it be? Like, how
I
much did you pay?
swear to God, it's like $20 on Amazon.
$20, but like 15 for those 2 tile expansions,
Yeah.
or 10.
Let
did
me
you say?
let me make sure because like when he told me 40, I was like, that's not what I paid.
He didn't hesitate to pay $40 for a game he just played once.
That should be That's a good indictment. Yeah. Right now it's $21 on Amazon.
Yeah, don't spend $40 on it. It's a good game, but it's not a $40 game.
Yeah, this Hive Pocket. The version I have is Hive Carbon, which is just black and white as opposed, which makes the bugs black and white. The pieces are already black and white, but makes the bugs black and white.
Yeah, instead of having like a different color for each bug,
Yeah.
because the tiles are always white and black. Which
look at
I don't think it adds anything to have colors. So
No.
Carbon is just the better version. Yeah, that's
$11. $11 for the pill bug expansion. Ridiculous.
ridiculous. But pill bugs are so cool.
They're very, very, very good.
They add so much to the game.
I don't think you can get Hive Carbon anymore.
Have I ever told you, like, on the same subject about, like, Hive and expanding a game like Hive, have you ever heard of Chess 2?
Yes. You've told me about Chess 2, but feel free to tell the listeners.
Okay, well, I'm not prepared to talk about Chess 2 because it's been a long time since I looked into it, but it was mostly like this guy jokingly pointing out all the worst parts of chess and like how he would improve it, and he basically decided to make multiple versions of chess with like special expanded rules that makes the game more interesting. Like there's a version where you've got two assassin pieces and they don't go on the board, they go along the edges of the board, and they have special abilities. And I remember one where they had like a jungle version where you used all the same pieces, but all of them represented like an animal or something. Like I remember the rooks being like elephants, and their main thing is that they can move like 2 spaces in any direction, horizontally or vertically, not diagonally. They can move orthogonally. That's the word. And they could trample over stuff.
Okay.
As part of their thing, they could like take out multiple pieces at once and stuff like that. And then there were simpler ones, so where they just kind of like change up like one piece. The nice thing about chess too, though, is that you can just look up the rules online, and then you can just play it with a regular chess set. You don't have to like buy any special game for it, you know?
You probably have sold a special game for it though.
I'd hope so, because I would buy that. I was having a lot of fun messing around with that game.
It seems kind of interesting. I like the idea of just adding a rule set to something you already have.
I like the idea of people making expansion packs for chess. I think it's really funny.
That just seems so simple. I mean, everyone has a game of chess, right?
Lying around somewhere, right?
I would think.
Yeah, I think I've got a wooden version right over there.
I know.
Like one of those things that comes with like checkers and backgammon as well.
To bring this back, my mom's a huge Harry Potter fan.
Oh, yeah?
We have Harry Potter chess, and we have Harry Potter checkers.
I had the Harry Potter chess set, like the kids' version. I don't know if they made like a better one.
I don't know.
It was based on the movie, and like I remember the knights especially, because in the movie they were on those big horses that are like rearing up.
Oh, maybe we don't have the chess set. Maybe we only have the checker set. I might be misremembering.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. There was literally a chess scene in Harry Potter.
I don't know what you want me to tell her.
It was a big part of the plot. And
we have checkers.
Anyway, it sucked because these dumbass plastic pieces would constantly fall over because they were too heavy and too like overly designed, and they just didn't support the weight of the dumbass shapes.
And the ability of my cousin had the plastic version that you're talking about, and like the breaking of the pieces was just like non-existent basically.
Yeah, because they're crappy plastic pieces. You're not like having them actually attack each other and shatter like in the movie.
Yeah.
I also had a glass set that I fucking hated because the board itself was like really, really heavy, and it's fragile, so it's stored in like a styrofoam thing, and I just hate interacting with styrofoam.
My grandpa had that one.
Yeah, it's a lot. I've seen this glass chess set all over the place. Like everyone
has one.
Everyone has one, or not everyone has like this chess set, but everyone knows someone who does.
Yeah.
Maybe they are the person who has it.
And it's just like I agree. I don't think it's worth it.
Also, instead of like having like white and black, they have like clear glass and fogged glass. I'm like, okay, well, in chess, an important rule is who goes first. I don't know which is supposed to be the white piece and which is supposed to be the black piece. I only know that it's clear and fogged. There's nothing in the rules that tells me which one's which.
Does it tell you which one goes first?
No. It just tells you how to play chess. It says white goes first. I'm like, you assholes.
Well, I guess you could argue that fogged would be white.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Everything would end up being an argument over which one's supposed to be white and which one's supposed to be black.
Huh.
I think we did commonly decide that the fogged glass was the white and that the clear glass was the black, but it doesn't make any sense either way.
No, you could argue the opposite, the same. I don't know. Buy Hive. We did it again.
We did it again. Buy Hive. Hive is good. Try Hive.
You try Hive.
Maybe not buy Hive, but if you have a chance to try Hive.
There's an app. You can get the app. Just don't buy any of the expansions because you're not supporting the creators. Beyond that, check it out. Check out Innis again.
And it's just really good.
Just buy a second copy, man.
What else did we talk about? We talked about Avatar. Watch Avatar. We talked about Spec Ops: The Line. Play that game.
Play that. Play Firewatch.
Play Firewatch.
Fuck J.K. Rowling.
Don't buy any more Harry Potter stuff.
I can't imagine what else you would buy.
Don't buy Harry Potter shit all the time.
I know, my mom does it. I don't know why.
Don't see the next Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts movie.
You probably weren't anyway because no one wanted to. But
they were really bad anyway.
Yeah, but you definitely shouldn't now too.
You're not a bad person for being a Harry Potter fan.
No.
But you're kind of a bad person if you keep on financially supporting J.K. Rowling.
I can't think of anything else. Do you want to record another episode after this?
I never did talk about Hamilton.
Oh, well, where's that 140? So we're going to, because I would like to hear your info on Hamilton.
All right, on the next episode of the Waffle Hour,
Hopefully,
hopefully.
Hamilton. I'll find something to talk about, I'm sure. Slime Rancher, perhaps.
You already talked about Slime Rancher.
But I beat it.
Yeah, does that change anything, though?
No. Oh, I can talk about Venture Brothers.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that.
Holy shit.
Is this the part where the music is going to just kind of drown us out?
We
This
haven't
is a good time for the music to drown us out.
we haven't said goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now the music will drown us out.
Now the music is going to eventually drown us out.